As a horror game fan, I feel like there's been a massive drought of horror games lately. And I mean, the indie scene is kind of trying to fill that void, whereas some of them are good, some of them are mediocre, and some of them are just downright dog shit. But one game that has come out fairly recently, well, it's come out a while ago for PC, but for consoles, it is fairly new, and that is Outlast Trials. I gotta say, I just wanted to make a video talking about this game because I've put a lot of time into it recently. My sister and I, we're massive horror game fans, and this game is absolutely incredible. Like, we've put a lot of time into it, and I honestly didn't think that it would be possible to make a co-op horror game scary because, of course, in horror games, it's a whole lot more scarier when you're alone. But man, does this game have atmosphere. It's so damn good. It's up to four players co-op, but my sister and I, we just play it cooperative. It's just kind of our thing. I find when you got more than another person with you, things kind of get a little bit too fast paced. We played a couple of trials with four people total, including myself, obviously. And I got to say, yeah, it was a little bit too rushed. It was felt like these people really knew where to go and everything, and it just kind of took the atmosphere out of the game. But I'm grateful for their help because my sister and I were genuinely struggling with the first trial, which is kill the snitch, and it is honestly like the hardest thing to do when you're first starting. But don't be afraid of failure because whenever you fail a trial, you gain experience points and you get these little ticket things that you can use to upgrade your character. And you get these things called rigs. There's four different rigs to choose from. One is X-ray vision to see through walls to see where the killer is, which is debatably pretty handy. I haven't kitted that one out yet. I decided to go with the stun rig. It's like a little stun grenade you can throw, and it stuns the killer if they're running after you, and it gives you time to get the hell away from them. And my sister decided to kit out the healing rig, which is like the spray that you can use, and like by default, when you get it, it makes a noise so the killer can hear you. But you can get upgrades for it later on that allow it to be silent, so you can make sure that the killer doesn't hear you. So it's really handy. And another thing too is you've got not just your health you've got to worry about, but you've also got the sanity meter as well, because your character can absolutely lose the plot. There's this creepy skinny dude that wanders around the map called the Skinner Man, which is just a creepy freaking name. And his job basically is to just run around and spray you with this chemical that it makes you trip balls. And yeah, your character pretty much loses the plot. And if your sanity is fully down, your health just starts draining. So you want to keep your sanity up. It sounds like a lot to keep track of, but the way they've done it is absolutely beautiful. It's like paced so it's not like overwhelming. I got to say, with Outlast 2, when I played that, I wasn't too sure about Outlast Trials when I heard it was coming out, because I felt like with Outlast 2, like the batteries in your camera or your night vision would drain really quickly, and it just got overwhelming because your vision would get sort of limited, but it was to a point where it was just annoying because you would get hit by someone, like the enemy, and it would blur your vision and you couldn't see where the hell you were going. Most of the time you spent running away from a freak, and yeah, it was just to the point where it wasn't fun because you couldn't see where the hell you were going. But with Outlast Trials, I really feel like they've balanced it out really well. And so, yeah, like I said, nothing really seems to be overwhelming and hits you all at once. It does get to a point where that happens, but it's like an unmanageable point. Like sometimes throughout the trial, you'll start feeling really hopeless because you're like, oh, like the Skinner Man sprayed me with this stuff. I'm tripping balls, and the killer's like running after me now, and like I'm really low on health and things. But sometimes you can make a comeback, and it's the way it's done. Like it's just so well done. So I just wanted to kind of highlight this game because my sister and I are having an absolute blast with it. And I'm not going to spoil anything because, in case you just give this game a crack, which I highly recommend you do if you're into horror games. But yeah, it's not for everybody, I would say, because there's some pretty heavy stuff in it. Like when you're going through and you're just looking at the environment, it's like, man, that's fucked up. Like someone came up with that. Like, yeah, it's quite disturbing in a lot of ways, but it's in good ways, I guess, if you like the horror sort of atmosphere. I guess you could say it's kind of like the Saw movies where you can't escape until you've done what's asked of you. But of course, what's asked of you is usually really fucked up. And meanwhile, while you're trying to complete this task or this trial, you've got some psychopath trying to track you down and kill you. So yeah, you got to work together. Sometimes you got to have. I find like the having one friend with you is a sweet spot. It's sort of like when my sister usually she'll be the bait or I'll be the bait, and the killer's like got to come after them. And yeah, you've got the other person just does what the puzzle is, or yeah, maybe you've got to fetch an item and bring it to a certain room or something, so that person can do that while the killer's distracted. So that's one cool thing that you can do in it. But yeah, there's many surprises. Like there's even this isn't really a spoiler, so I'll just tell you it. But there's these characters that appear in the gameplay that look like your friend, and you're like, oh, there you are. I'll give you this item, and then they just come up and start stabbing you, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, what did you do that for? And it's not even them. It's like some kind of weird. I don't know what it is. It's just your character's like nuts, and they're seeing, or even when the sanity meter's high, they still come after you, and you just think you see your friend, and you go up to them or whatever. But my sister pointed out to me that when they're not ducking, you can tell that it's not your friend because they're standing up. So they never duck these doppelgangers. They usually stand up. So that is a way to tell. I didn't really take note until she told me. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to cover that and talk about Outlast Trials because it's fantastic. If you're into horror games, I highly recommend you try it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.